Chair Nichols,
Present?
Vice Chair Lucas,
Present.
Trustee Linares,
Present.
Trustee Markle,
Present.
Trustee Spansel. A quorum is present.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, I will call on the public to make a comment. You can come up and make a comment on any topic that relates to a matter over which this body has supervision, control, jurisdiction, or advisory power. Is there anybody who would like to come up and make a comment? Come on up. Thank you for being here.
My name's Ed. Thank you all for being here.
I'm sorry, Ed,
Ed
can-
Skudlarek.
Can you spell your last name?
Sure, Skudlarek.
Thank you.
So I wanted to mention a couple things about the meeting minutes. I don't know if I'm premature on that or not, from the past or for when you approve the meeting minutes. And one of those items that I was going to mention is Mr. Coulombe's position and employer isn't identified in the meeting minutes. And so it's kind of hard to follow. I went back into the previous meeting minutes, and he's identified as, I think, the director of HR, presumably for Carson City. But he was one of the people who was who was part of the discussion last month in the board meeting. And then the second thing I wanted to mention was the late material, which has a lot of good information in there. It was stuff that was being discussed at the board meeting last month, but wasn't available at that time, and obviously. But I was just wondering if it's practice to include late material with the staff report. So for instance, with the July board meeting report, the staff report for the meeting minutes approval, should that also reference or have attached to it the late material so people can find it? Does that make sense? Okay, thank you.
Joy Holt, Director for the Record. So to answer that really quickly, the late materials are always added per statute and per compliance with open meeting law. They have to be added to our website and to the city's website within 24 hours. So the next day they were attached. Does that answer the question? So they were accessible. They're accessible on our website, and they're also accessible on the city's website.
They get attached to the prior month. They don't go into the next month's meeting minutes.
Right.
Okay,
Oh, that's the
that's-
question. Yeah.
All right, because for the meeting minutes approval of June's meeting,
Mm-hmm.
that would be a part of the approval, I guess. The late material would still be part of what's reviewed.
Well, we don't actually approve the agenda or the attached items. So the late materials don't need to be approved as part of the minutes.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. I don't see anybody else. So we will move on. We will move on to item number 4, approval of minutes. Has everyone had the opportunity to read and review the minutes? And do you have any comments?
Chair Nichols, regarding the public comment for Jeff Coulombe's position, I noticed that I didn't include it, so that can be a suggestion, and I'll add that.
I appreciate that. Thank you, because he is right. It's
Yeah, I just looked at it and I didn't
Yeah,
include
it's
his
hard to
title.
follow if you're just reading along and maybe you even weren't even here and you're like, well, who's this guy?
Yeah, I
Why
just
is this
forgot.
guy part of this?
Yeah, usually I include it under staff, but I noticed that I didn't, so I'll add that in.
Thank you.
This is Trustee Markle. I move that we approve the minutes for the June 12th, 2025 meeting.
Do I have a second?
Do we need to specify with the addition of Mr. Coulombe's to the staff section? Because that is a change. Right? Yeah.
Okay. I-
what she was going to do. I didn't realize she was going to change
Yeah, I
dates.
think, well, because well, we can make that amendment to it, right? Add him up to the list of staff at the top with his title, and then the rest of the minutes will make more sense.
That's a good idea. Okay.
Okay,
Do I?
sorry.
Okay.
So my motion is still, okay.
We should probably clear it up a little bit.
Yes, Mihaela Niagos, Deputy District Attorney for the record. I would encourage you to make another motion to approve the minutes as discussed on the record with the inclusion of the position of Mr. Coulomb.
Okay. I move that we approve the minutes of the June 12th, 2025 meeting with the addition of the position of Mr. Coulomb, who spoke at that meeting, into the staff section.
Do I have a second?
Trustee Lucas, I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, motion passes. Okay. Item number 5A. Okay, for possible action or discussion, here we go. We need the election of a chair and vice chair for the Library Board of Trustees for the 2026 fiscal year. So, do I have any nominations?
Trustee Lucas, I'd like to nominate Chair Nichols to continue her excellent work and build on the growth and knowledge that she's obtained in the last year and continue for another year, if she is willing to accept that.
Yes, thank you.
So do we do them one at a time?
I
or-
was just going to ask that. Do you want to do it one at a time or do you want to do them both?
Or do we need to see if there's any other nominations or anything that we need to discuss or debate? I'm not sure. I don't remember how this goes.
For Joy Holt, Library Director, for the record, you can also nominate Vice Chair. And then in the staff report there, if you see at the top of the proposed motion, guides you through how you can do it at once.
Okay. Okay.
This is Trustee Markle. I move that we nominate Beth Lucas for Assistant Chair to continue the wonderful work that she's done over the past year.
Yes. Would you be willing to be vice
Yeah.
chair again?
I would accept that nomination if we vote that way. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so now
Do we have?
now I need a motion, correct? So I need a motion, just like it's up on our screen. You see our screen? I need a proposed motion.
I thought we just did that.
No, you nominated her to be vice chair. Now, you see the motion up there?
I know it says I move to nominate for Chair and Vice Chair.
Oh, you're right.
I didn't know if we were just putting out the nominations and
you
seeing
may-
if there were any competing nominations.
Mihaela Niagos, for the record, you may change the motion to I move to elect or select. And you can state the name for chair and the name for vice chair.
Okay.
You can do it. You're doing a great job.
Trustee Markle, I move that we elect Nichols as Chair of the Library Board and Beth Lucas as Assistant Chair for the Library Board for the upcoming 25-26 fiscal year. Is that good enough?
Vice chair instead of
Oh,
assistant
okay,
chair.
Vice
but-
Chair.
Do I have a second?
This is Ann Linares, Trustee Linares, and I second that motion.
All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All, any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Congratulations. Next year, I think we'll all look at Ann. Okay, item 5B.
Should we tell her she missed the election of her?
Oh,
as-
Yeah, we can tell her afterwards. We're so sorry, but we're glad you're here. We're on item 5B. You're welcome. Okay, for possible action, discussion, possible action. And I think this is really just going to be a discussion, correct? about the proposed interlocal contract between the Carson City Library and the Board of Regents, Nevada System of Higher Education, to provide a 5-year organizational strategic plan for the library for a total amount not to exceed $14,000. Good job on that, by the way.
And for the record, this is actually an action item, and the Library Board of Trustees has the authority to approve this interlocal agreement.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Deanna Gales. You beat me to it. That this is, yes, an action item. So,
I do have a question about this item. The timeline and the materials describes 1st January, thank you for the mic, 1st January 2025, and then in the description of the full proposal, it says that it would begin in May of 2025, and then it also describes the different steps of all of the different meetings that they will have. I'm wondering how that is affected, given that that's not the current timeline now.
well, it will change the timeline because we've had a delay having to move through the approval process, but also getting through, right now, for example, there will be some adjustments to the document that you see in front of you in terms of the contract because of those date changes and because the university's, you said, is their legal counsel is reviewing because our legal counsel had a few very minute changes. And so then they have to go through their process. So right now, the estimated first really meeting and like proposed, where we sit down with the staff and we go over where the jumping off is going to be on our staff training day on August 4th. And then Dr. Steinman has sent me some preliminary ideas for how to adjust the survey. And then he and I will, once the contract is finally through, and we'll probably work on it here in the next few weeks as well, just kind of just being ready to launch. And then the expectation is, because thankfully, we've worked with him in the past, and so we have a very smooth working relationship, and so we can expedite because we are behind in terms of the time frame. And so, but we also think it might be more advantageous that we're expediting it because it won't be so spread out with the community's survey and the community meetings and things like that. So yeah, there will be some alterations to the document that you see before you, but they'll be minimal. The exact term, like the dates and things like that, but the cost and the proposed, what's the word I'm looking for?
Like order of operations?
Correct. Will remain the same. It will just be a little bit more squished
Chair
together.
Nichols is going to jump in really quick. I'm
Okay.
sorry, because you guys are going back and forth. We have new library trustees, so I'd like you to state your name before you speak.
Of course.
Okay, 'cause
Yes.
we,
My
that
apologies.
way-
My name is
that way-
Rena Spansale, for the record.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate that. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, so yeah, just continuing, we will be moving forward, and the expectation is we'll be done by the end of December for the first round, and then we'll meet every year thereafter to update and upgrade and reevaluate. And sometimes things do get changed around. We do meet with Dr. Steinman meets with the staff, and then he will also come here each year and give y'all an update as to what changes we made. Did we make any changes? One of the things that we're going to try and focus on this year in terms of our surveys to get a little bit more granular with what's working for some of our underserved community and some things like that. So we're going to work on a little bit of adjustment to the survey to get a better idea of what those users might want to use. And because we weren't as specific about that, I mean, it was 5 years ago, so 6 years ago almost. And so we will be working on that together, and he'll just see us through it. Yeah, he facilitates the whole thing. He's very experienced, and he's actually done a lot of these with many libraries throughout Nevada, so he has some real insight there too.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to explain all of that. Because I know we've got two people catching up, and I think one of my first meetings, we were in the middle doing the same thing, and I was like, what are we doing? What is this? So
Having all the documents ahead of time, I was able to read them all.
And also, one of my expectations and plans is to extend an invite to y'all to come to that staff training, not this very first one, while we've got a lot of new staff too, so while they kind of get their sea legs, and then we can work together as a group, and then, of course, also come to the community meetings that we'll be having at the library. In the past, we've had them at the sheriff's office, I think, and so I'm hoping that we'll get maybe a greater variety of responses if it's at the library. So we'll see.
I wonder if I could clarify a couple of things. This is Trustee Linares. So you said that you're going to stay with the 7-month time frame. When does that time frame?
It's going to be it's more of a 6 to 5 month timeframe, because we're going to be, once this contract gets over the finish line with their legal counsel and they approve the changes that we've made, because it's an interlocal agreement, we can move pretty expeditiously at that point. And so we will be meeting with Dr. Simon will come to our staff meeting, our staff training day where the library is closed on August 4th, and we'll kick it off there. He and I will have been working together and coming up with dates, and then we'll also take in the staff's input as to when do we think would be the best time to have the community meetings. And then by our estimated time frame for really getting down and him drafting it would be November.
Okay. And then my follow-up question was, if it's condensed between, and I only know what I read in here, so I don't really know what the operation, what it looks like. It was the survey, and then the focus groups would be would be closer together. So in your estimation, that you're comfortable with that condensed timeframe, will the public have adequate notice? Or I think, sometimes there's a time frame built into things on purpose, so that there's the talk, there's the, I did this thing, and now we're going to go to this place and we'll talk about it. If that's condensed, do we expect an impact? Positive, negative, or neutral?
Positive, actually.
Okay.
I think because the attendance and the sort of more robust feedback trailed off over that year of planning.
Okay.
And so we're experimenting really to see if that more condensed, we are experimenting, but also we really didn't have a choice because we were behind. But I anticipate, bless you, that I'm hoping that we will see actually a greater interest, because it will be more forefront people's minds, that we haven't had this time between. That people will get to thinking about it. And I feel like if you do it in a shorter time frame, and we've seen this with our marketing for our programs too, it's a fine balance between how far ahead of time you want to give people, how often you want to put it on your socials. And so we're really going to try and see. And then my goal would be for us to carry forward in doing some, public meetings, or not public meetings, but community survey meetings going forward to get a little bit. We've done the surveys on paper, and we didn't do a very good job, in my opinion, of really promoting that. It was something that we did and it was a topsy-turvy time too, because this kicked off in 2019 and then 2020 happened. And so we were kind of like playing catch up most of the time. And so there will be some differences, but yes, I think based on my observation of our programming, marketing, and attendance at other informational gatherings like this, that a shorter amount of time in between those. And I've also seen this with the most recently and most related probably is the city's master plan, because they had their meetings in the library. And so they did a block of meetings where they had open meetings to the public for a month, and then maybe 6 months, every Saturday for a month, and then about maybe 6 months later, they did another month of every Saturday, and they actually had really good turnout using that method. So I think it was better than to have them be like you're going to do 4, and so you're going to do them every quarter,
Right.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Thank you for taking the
Yeah.
time. I appreciate that.
No problem.
And I'm sorry if I'm
No.
monopolizing, but so the surveys,
Mhm.
when you said originally or last time you did it, they were on paper. To me, that implies that people who come into the library might be the only ones who would take the survey. But that would not be the case this time, that it
No.
would be available widespread for the
They were
population.
posted on all our social and our website.
Okay,
So we had
good.
a link to it on the website, on our banner,
Mhm.
and then also on paper, because some people just like paper.
And that's wonderful. Would it be announced in something other than a library website?
Yeah, we'll probably do a press release on Carson.now or carsonnow.org.
Carson Now? Okay.
And probably Nevada Appeal too.
Wonderful.
We have a good relationship with them, and so once we're ready to launch, I'll reach out to them, and I kind of already laid the groundwork for that, and at the interviews, because the person whose beat we're on for the new Nevada Appeal was sitting right in front of me. So I said, "Hey, so
Good.
so yeah, we'll do those two outlets for sure, and see where else. Yeah, but we'll definitely that survey is going to be made available digitally and on paper as well.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you so much for your time.
And thank you for asking those questions, because I'm aware that both of you haven't been here as we've been talking about this for a few months. So I appreciate you jumping in, both of you, and asking questions and trying to get up to speed.
You may not say that later.
Very much. You ask as many questions as you want, Ann.
I just have one note. I just noticed, this is Trustee Markle, on task number 7, it's anticipated that the project will begin in January 2025. Okay, so now, and will be completed in 7 months. So we're just moving that time frame up to July.
Correct.
I have one more question. This is Trustee Spansale. Thank you to my colleagues for their patience. I noticed that there was the budget of 30+ thousand. Do I understand correctly that that was what was originally budgeted for the strategic plan, but that the cost has come down substantially? Or do I misunderstand this item within the overall operating budget?
Yeah, it's with this item within the overall operating budget. So the fund, the line item that you see there, let me get back to that. Am I getting to the right document? Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
explanation. of
so
this.
you'll see there the account number.
Yes.
That is our professional services line item on our budget. And so with that amount, minus what we're budgeted for right now, minus the $14,000 is what we're going to have left in that budget.
For that particular.
Right. And
Thank you.
it's worded that way to communicate to both you guys and the Board of Supervisors, or really anyone else that is looking at it, that this is already budgeted for. It's not extra money that we're expecting the taxpayers to pay. We're using funds that we've already been budgeted for. Yeah.
I understand.
And
Thanks for
approved.
that
Yeah.
clarification.
Do we have any other questions on this? I know it's a lot to take in.
On the community input meetings, I like the idea of placing them closer together, because, I mean, for me personally, things do fall off. I see them, I have an intent. If it's too far out, you might forget. I think that's good. Are we going to offer them, like, at a variety of times to catch different demographics? Like, you might have parents who are going to come out on a weekday morning, but they're not going to show up after bedtime or on the weekend because, that's, but then there's
Yes.
the people who are working, right? And they're not going to show up on a weekday morning. So
That's one of the conversations, and that's a great point, that Dr. Steinman and I have discussed is staggering the meetings, having them at various times to be attractive to certain age demographics, and then also just being more available for time for people. And so that's one of the things that we are working out. And that was my point too. Like, the last time, my understanding, I wasn't here for the planning, the with the original draft, but that they were, I think, pretty uniform, and maybe I'm making this up, but I know that they were all at the sheriff's office meeting room and at maybe 5 o'clock on a Wednesday. And so, yeah, we'd like to try and have them be more staggered in terms of time. I mean, he and I have talked about maybe having, if not a community meeting, but handing out the surveys at our story time. And just being more, maybe just more mindful of, maybe not more mindful, but mindful of trying to get as many people and as many different age groups, demographics, et cetera, engaged. So, yeah.
I also think that's great. We're going to have them at the library. I feel like
Yeah.
that feels, in our current climate, like maybe more neutral ground.
Yeah, I'm not sure why we had them
And
at the sheriff's
also-
office, though.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe their meeting room was bigger.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's one of those, I think they maybe did feel like that was more neutral ground. I'm not sure, but we'll see. Yeah, we
But
have
I
the
mean, library
space.
users are going to be willing, hopefully, you would think, willing to go to the library, so we can catch them when.
Yeah, well, and I'm hoping too that, somebody will come in to check out a book or whatever and go, well, yeah, they're doing a community survey meeting or community meeting. I might as well wander in there, and I mean, they're already there. So, yeah.
Chair Nichols, I have a quick question, and you may have already answered this before. I feel like you did, but I just want to double check. Are the surveys going to be in different languages?
Yes.
Thank you.
Spanish and English. Yeah.
Okay. I thought you told us that, but I wasn't.
Yeah, they were in Spanish last time too, but we didn't, I truly believe that we did not do a very good job at all of dispersing those. So that's another thing that Dr. Simon and I are working on, is how to better distribute that and land on the radar of our Spanish-speaking community, because 25% of our community per the 2020 census is Spanish-speaking as a first language. So,
So maybe we need to find a way to do a press release and maybe some Spanish media, Spanish-speaking
Maybe.
media.
certainly we could look into that, yeah. And I don't know, I'm spitballing all kinds of ideas in my head as how we might be able to better engage that community. So,
This is Trustee Linares. To follow up on something you said about the community meetings, I'm glad they're at the library. I think that's the right place. But I'm also thinking, this is following the survey, which one doesn't have to be present for. At the community meeting, of course, you have to bring your body there and manage. Is there a way or an option, or is it beneficial to have a way for people to write in their thoughts, to otherwise access and share their thinking without having to be at the meeting?
that's available on the survey. There's room for them to add their added, because the survey is really meant as a companion piece to the community meetings. And so, yes, people can give their more comments and give robust information on the survey if they're not able to make it into the community meetings. But we can, and he and I have also talked about how to maybe tweak some of these things, and also maybe doing what I like to call as a road show and go to maybe we need to go to do outreach. And,
Back to school nights.
yeah, and we do those already. And so certainly, I do think there are some schools here that we've done outreach at that we absolutely would have a much better opportunity to reach the underserved communities here in Carson City at those types of events. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Chair Nichols, so we have a really robust Facebook page. Is there any plans or any thought to maybe making one of those meetings like a Facebook Live, where people can watch at home? And they can also, as they're watching, I believe it's been a while since I've done it, but I believe you can type in comments and you're able to capture them later. So,
Yeah, and one of the things that we've kicked around is that, but also a YouTube live stream.
oh, I would love that.
So something, yeah, we're definitely wanting to take advantage of those types of services to allow. At this point, it's like, let's throw everything up against the wall and see what sticks, to get people to respond. So, yes.
I'm all in favor of having a YouTube page because I told you, I love the library in Wisconsin. They have a YouTube channel and they do live demonstrations.
Oh, yeah.
They do all, besides books, they do a lot of stuff live on YouTube and it's kind of nice.
And we had one, but it was pretty sparse, and so we've got a new one, and we're going to be really ramping that up after the summer reading program. And we've kicked around the idea, myself and the programming and outreach coordinator, doing almost like a podcast of like book reviews.
Oh, yeah.
And then it would be fun to have each of you guys come in and talk about like what you're, have a book talk,
Yeah,
basically.
that'd be great.
Yeah, it's something like that. And we've got all kinds of ideas. So we're getting there, I hope.
So you could do a Zoom meeting, you could do a Zoom focus group?
Yeah, we could,
perhaps even.
totally. Or we could do a Zoom whilst in person.
Yeah.
So, or a strictly Zoom. Yeah, there's all kinds of possibilities of things that we can do, and Dr. Simon and I are working on that to try and. It wasn't as if we didn't have a great turnout last time, but there's things that we could do that we maybe didn't have as much access to at that time. Certainly not Zoom. And so, yeah, there's lots of opportunities to kind of see what works and what doesn't work. And at the end of the day, we'll know. And here's the thing: in 5 years, those things that work right now might not work again. So it's there's always that new approach.
Because in some ways, after 6 years, you have an additional overdrive audience or
Oh yeah, for sure.
a segment that is heavy library user but has only started accessing those resources in the past few years.
Oh, that's absolutely
And
true.
to get to those people who still may never even come in the library.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, and that's an excellent point. And we know that that's happening because even though we don't see the foot traffic that we would have seen, 5 years ago, we are definitely seeing the traffic digitally. I mean, our overdrive wait time is. I mean, I just waited for a book for 5 weeks. No, not 5 weeks. 4 months. 4 months. It was, and there.
What was it?
The Witch of Colchis. I've been on a Greek mythology and the Odyssey and Iliad's reinterpretations from the women's perspective, JAG, for a while now. And I'm trying to fill my need for Madeline Miller, who wrote Circe and the Song of Achilles. She's supposed to be coming out with a new one, but in order to curb that, I've been looking for some other stuff. Anyways, The Witch of Colchis, and I missed my hold time because I didn't respond to Libby soon enough, and it got turned back out, and I had to wait another 5 weeks. But the 5 number is really popping into my brain because that's our average wait time, is 5 deep. And
I'm
that's,
on a list for 25.
Yeah.
25 weeks.
yeah.
First Gentleman or the Bill Clinton
Oh, you're right.
Patterson book.
Wow.
25 weeks.
I'm not going to say what my
Yeah.
knee-jerk reaction to a Patterson book having a 25-week wait.
Yeah.
But
I know.
anyway.
Yeah, I know. I think I'm 179th on the list.
Well, yeah, I mean, those books are popular, and, we get those types of books. With our lease, we order, sometimes we order 9 copies in print, and we order multiple copies on Overdrive. And as I've reported in the past, but for our new trustees' information, we've been really chipping away at this, and we're not moving the needle much. We're really trying, though. The Friends monies have been really directed toward, a big portion of that has been, collection development money has been channeled towards digital resources. Our collection development, state collection development grants funds have been digital resources. And by digital resources, I mean electronic resources through the Libby platform mostly. And also just devoting a larger percentage of our overall budget, and we're still very deep anyway.
Sorry, we got kind of derailed. And
Yeah,
we're
we
discussing.
did. We need to wrap it up.
We
with
do.
my halo.
I'm so sorry. We need to wrap this up.
Okay.
Is there any other questions on the contract?
Yes, I do have a question about the contract. I know in the time of AI, there's data concerns that arise when contractors might use AI as part of their work to, and like put data into that. And I'm just a little concerned, or not concerned perhaps, but more curious, where in this contract is any data that we share with the Dr. Steinman and his team? Where are there any data protections in this contract?
I'm not sure I understand what you mean by data protections.
So, for example, let's say that Dr. Steinem decides to put some things into ChatGPT. Probably he wouldn't. Probably he would use a more protected platform than that. But let's say that he did. Anything that is put into that platform that was like, survey results, et cetera, would stay on that platform's servers as well as be accessible to the team who was working on it. So I'm just wondering if there's anything in this contract that stipulates anything about like our clients' data or our survey results, or the data that is aggregated as part of the strategic plan, if there's anything in this contract that protects that data from being used by third parties.
Not that explicitly, because all of that information is public record anyway.
That was my curiosity. I'm like, does public record
Yep.
protect us for that now too? Great. Okay. Thank you so much.
Ready for a motion?
Yeah, I just want to make sure everybody's happy, everybody's got their questions.
Well, I think I'm just waiting to hear what the motion will be because I feel very confused what we would be approving because the contract needs refinement on many levels. I don't know how I could say I approve it when I don't know what it is because it's not made.
And Michaela Niagos, for the record, I actually agree because the proposed motion is to approve the contract as presented, and at this time, we do not have a final contract to present. So there are a couple of options. If I understand Director Holt, her position is that in the immediate future, the contract will be reviewed and approved by legal counsel for the university, correct?
Correct.
And that is based
It's under
on
review by
the-
them right now.
Yes, and this is based on the minor changes that we suggested to
Correct.
the draft that they provided to us.
Correct.
So I guess we have a couple of options, one of them being come back at the next meeting and approve the final contract. I know that you all expressed some concerns in regards to the timeliness of this contract, and we don't want to delay it unnecessarily. So I guess one option would be to authorize Director Holt to finalize the contract with, minor suggestions. If there are certain terms that you are consider to be firm, such as the value of the contract and that it expires December 31st, you can express those right now, but allow her to make some minor changes and also authorize her to execute the contract once it's finalized. So those would be the two options. Table this item until next month when hopefully we have a final version of the contract that we can bring in front of you to approve as presented. We could also include or maybe go back to the university with any proposed changes. Now would be a good time to go back and propose other suggestions to the university. And or if you're satisfied with allowing her to finalize the contract, you can do that right now, and then we just finish it today.
That was my hope, because the proposed motion is written this way because I expected that we would have the final contract back from the university. And so my hope was that in the past, we have done that where this board has approved my moving forward with the contract, giving me the authority to move forward with the expectation that these minor adjustments would be made. I think
At this point, the major adjustment is just the timeline.
Correct, yeah. The financial piece and the actual process will remain the same, yeah.
I think I would like to move to allow Director Holt to finalize this contract on behalf of the board for a total amount not to exceed $14,000. I think that with the adjusted timeline that Director Holt approves. Do we,
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Okay, let's go on to item number 6. Library Director's report. Take it away.
At the end, we do. Does anyone have any questions about the fund reports? I'm sorry that the gift fund is funky. My printer is giving me fits, and for some reason keeps defaulting in Adobe to portrait, and so I missed this one. So my apologies.
so June ends our fiscal year. So I'm thinking we're gonna start seeing our next budget at our next meeting.
Right, yeah.
Okay, but then there's a 2-month a lag in governmental, right?
It's 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Typically, they're wrapping up their year end by the middle of August. And so what I've done in the past is, I think it's September that I bring the wrap up. I
That
do
was
it
gonna be my
separate.
suggestion, was be like in September,
yeah.
can we see how June
Yeah.
ended in its final state?
Yeah, that's what I did last year, is I did the final reports for fiscal '25, and then the additional for that particular
ones for that
period, yeah.
Thank you.
But I will say on that topic that in years past, we've been pretty darn close to what the numbers here say. Because we are wrapping up our book budget purchasing and things like that at the end. So these numbers, they're not going to change a whole lot. Where we'll see the changes is with our salaries and stuff, because they'll be moving money around with like not workman's comp, but it is workman's comp, and there's some other salaried items on here that don't get pulled forward until the end of the fiscal that I don't have anything to do with. So we'll see a little bit of that, but not a whole lot. So right now, we're sitting at 80%, nearly 80% spent for our general fund, and that's right where I wanted us to be.
And for our new members, because I know we've all heard it a bunch, but one of the reasons that we don't spend up to 100% of our budget, Joy can explain this better, but I believe it's because we turn some of that money back that goes into the capital improvement fund.
Correct,
To
yeah.
increase our chances of getting capital improvements in the future because we've been contributing.
Right.
So it's not that we're like not using all of our money, it's a strategic and purposeful.
Yeah, and this year, we're probably going to get a little bit closer. We're probably not going to turn back as much because we are getting a new circulation desk, and that's going to cost us a chunk of change. And so, yeah, we're going to, but yes, the idea is to be putting money into the pile so that when we ask to take it out, we're not looking as if, well, one director, when I first began, described us as the children that move out of the home but want to get their allowance anyway. Yeah, so we certainly didn't want that continued reflection upon us. But so yes, that's the point of that, is that it's strategic, but also it gives us, when I'm shooting to come in within that 20%, we're guaranteed to not break our bottom line, which is what we don't want to do. And also, it just gives us enough of a buffer so that we get everything covered. So, yeah.
Do we have any other questions about the budget? Okay, so We can go on to programming and outreach if you'd like.
Okay. I just keep on opening up this thing over and over again because I forget where I'm at. Okay, so. Okay, so we did have one library assistant position open. It has been tentatively filled. We have a library assistant position open. We are setting up interviews for that right now. And we are also going to be hiring a part-time library clerk who will work our circulation desks. They really serve as sort of a part-time library assistant, but it's a clerk position because they're only on the desk during the hours that they're there. And we've had a lot of interested parties for that. And then the workforce development and social services coordinator interviews are still pending. Then we've got all of these awesome programs going on.
Wait, I have a
I
question.
tried to give oh,
Sorry.
yes.
Sorry. Chair Nichols. The Workforce Development Social Service Coordinator position, wasn't that pending last month?
Yeah, it's been pending because I'm trying to get through try to find the right fit, but also people that are still available and for interviewing.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
This is Trustee Linares.
Yeah.
Could you just clarify, is the clerk position what's showing up here as the assistant library?
No,
assistant
the clerk
position?
position we posted after the time of this writing, and it's a part-time position, and I don't often list those on here because it's not a full-time employee. So it's not part of our bigger organizational chart. They're listed on there, but with part-time staff, we're given a pile of money, and we can use that money to hire however many we want, so long as we don't break that budget. So we don't always have 3 shelvers or 3 clerks. We might have 1 clerk and 2 shelvers. That's what this would be. So it's a little bit fuzzy. So I don't necessarily always put that on here. But in this case, it was simply because it posted or it was posting right at the time of this writing. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And so what did you say you thought you filled? Was it the senior or the library? Oh,
Yeah, the
great.
senior library is
Wonderful.
tentatively filled. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anything else? Okay. Any questions about any of the programs? Please come.
They look so fun.
I know, we've had such great turnout. The Dig for Dinosaurs today, we had 50 around, last I heard. We are also, I'm proud to say, 60% covered on our goal. So we're 60%, we've reached 60% of our goal of 800,000 minutes read, and we're a month in. So we have another month to go. So I'm feeling very confident that we're going to meet that goal this year. And so, yeah, that's been great news. We've had such great turnout. And I do think one of the reasons that we've had really good turnout for the programs is that we decided to do a raffle because we changed up how the prizes are won. And so we thought, well, we wanted people to be more incentivized to come to the programs. And so there's a raffle at the end. And I really do think that that's helped a lot. And so, yeah, we're having a great time this year.
Isn't there something else going on tonight?
There is. It is. Oh, I can't remember what it is. No, I think it's the Dig for Dinosaurs. It ended at 3. And then the next thing.
Okay,
There might have been, and I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, because I remember looking.
'Cause I was
Oh,
focused.
I can't go. I gotta go to the meeting.
Yes, if there is, my
Okay.
programming and outreach coordinator is going to be so disappointed in me that I don't remember. But yes, so we've had a lot of stuff going on. I'm really interested to see how the Little House on the Prairie goes.
Well, I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah,
It says discover real life places that inspired Laura Ingalls Wilder.
yeah,
So
because
is
it's a
there some-
travel talk where they're talking about all the different
Okay, it's a
places that
travel
she's
talk,
lived,
okay.
and on the banks of Plum Creek.
Is there someone who knows that area? I mean, why are we? Okay.
Yeah, and it's just based on research, really.
Okay.
And I'm interested to see how the herb garden thing turns out. I think that's going to be great. So yeah, I think this particular theme has had a lot of success. So you can see when I wrote this, it was last Wednesday, and we've already read an additional almost Well, this was 337, 603, so we're at 476 and some change
I put all my,
today.
I put most of
so-
my minutes in on Thursday. So I went, oh, yeah, I gotta log my minutes.
I know. I always think I'm killing it, but then we've got staff members who've already read like 200 or like 200 books or some crazy thing, and I'm like, wow, I'm really killing it with my 1,800 minutes. So, and I just wanted to end with welcome to our new board members. Thank you so much for being willing to commit your time for this. One thing I did want to say again about coming up is there will be possibly before our next meeting a new circulation desk. You might have noticed that the current circulation desk has been reconfigured a bit, and so you're going to see some cosmetic changes. Yeah.
And is the staff feeling better about it? They feel safer with this?
I think so. I mean, I think one of the biggest things was that we turned their, that particular, the information desk had that, we had the two front facing, and then we had a side space with a workstation for, in the back where people could check books and things like that. We turned it so it faces out, so those people can also see. And sometimes if even the people that are at the desk who are in one of those front-facing places will go back to this other workstation and do, like if they're working on holds, they're like separating their work out so they don't mix things up, and they can be doing that and still see out when someone's approaching the desk. So yeah, but I do think that they're going to feel ultimately safer with the new desk.
Okay.
So yeah, and Silver State Industries is building it for us.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I do like that.
For those who may not know who Silver State Industries is, it's the Department of Corrections trustees who do amazing work in their wood shop. So
Yeah, my last job, I had one of their new desks, and it was amazing what they did.
yeah, they actually made the bins in our children's where the children's picture books are. Those bins that are on wheels, they made those.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we asked them if they could try and get the wood coloring as close to those as possible, so we don't have quite such a hodgepodge. We're eclectic at this point.
Okay, I've lost my place. I'm so sorry. I have lost my place. Where am I? Does anyone else have any questions about the director's report? Okay, moving on. If I can find my spot. Okay. Thank you again, Joy. We really appreciate that.
Thank you.
And then you had that up. Can you put
Huh?
that back up for me?
Sure. What didn't I have? What do you need up?
Where are we? Yeah, but I cannot find mine. What did I do with it? I move all these papers around, writing on things.
6B.
I totally did. I've lost the thread. So, okay. Item 6B, trustees reports, announcements and requests for information. So for the new trustees, if you would like to see something on the agenda, if you have something that you think that we can talk about, then now is the time to just let us know what that is. Or if you have an announcement that has anything to do with what we do, now's your time. Speak up.
I think I'll wait at least a month.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Nothing, all my questions have been answered up to this point, but it's good to know that exists there at the end should
does.
something arise.
It does. You're welcome. Anyone else? So Joy, I think it's time again, especially since we have some new people, but I would like some more statistics.
Okay. I was actually going to provide those because then we'll be on a quarterly rotation
Okay,
or
I would
close
like-
to
yeah,
it.
yeah.
I didn't want to jump off. As you know, I try to keep the things that we're going to discuss and talk about at minimal. And so, yeah, that was my plan for next month, was to provide some statistics on circulation, kind of what I did you know, it's kind of, I do a little bit of experimenting to see what y'all most want to see. So I'll probably emulate some of what I did last time I presented, but we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see how
Yeah,
fancy I get.
I do want to see, I always like to see us, I want to see the growth, so how many people have come to all these fun things that you've done as compared to last year. And it would be interesting to say, hey, last year we had maybe more people in the library, but as you can see this year, there's been a huge growth in online, rentals, that kind of thing too.
Okay.
Would be good. I'd really appreciate
So you want a year-to-year comparison?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That would be really nice. Okay. And then item number 7, public comments. The public is invited at this time to provide comment on any topic that relates to a matter over which we have supervision control jurisdiction. And I see nobody here, so I'm going to assume we have no public comments. So item number 8, we are adjourned.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Have a good night.